Understanding these ISNS and DCB and MPIO. Now, what are these things? First, this ISNS. This ISNS server service is a Windows features that has three primary components: the ISNS server, ISNS client, and ISNS database. Has several advantages. What are the advantages it has? It has advantages including that reduce administrative overhead by automating the configuration of iSCSI clients, is compatible with the iSCSI and fiber channel, can make an IP network function like a SAN, and can integrate IP and fiber channel networks seamlessly. And it is not yet in widespread use also, but it is not used widespread. Now what it do here, it is do what, when you're in your network, you're having iSCSI targets, you're having fiber channel also as a SAN. Now if suppose you're having lots of targets and lots of different clients to connect, so doing it manually is sometime which is difficult. Doing it manually, it is sometime become difficult to connect each and every target with the client, each and every client with the right target. So what we can use this ISN, what this ISNS do? It is like just like it is just like a DNS server. It is to resolve the IQN of the target and client. So where we have the server, ISNS server, and in that server we have a database of we have the database of the targets and the initiators which is allowed to access those targets, and those clients which is the client of this ISNS server, they will do what? For connecting the right target, they will not search on the network. They will do what? They will contact the server, the ISNS server, for asking that what are the right target for me. So client means the initiator client will do what? It will connect the server. It will ask the server that what is the right target for me and how I can connect. This server will guide the initiator client that this is your target and you can connect these targets. Now this will happen when we are having lots of different targets and lots of different initiators we have. So for managing that we can use this infrastructure, but it is not for used widespreadly. It is not used normally because normally we don't have that much big environment where we have lots of targets and initiators. And it can also do what? It can also work for both the iSCSI and fiber channel both. So it can manage both the clients and initiators from the iSCSI targets and also from the fiber channel. So it can do what? It can work IP network function also like this SAN. So it can use the iSCSI and fiber channel. It can do the resolution for both. Next is DCB. Now DCB is the same thing. It do what? It provide the fast path to connect the server. Like this is the slow iSCSI SAN network, and this is the fast iSCSI SAN network. Now this DCB configuration do what? It will these are the servers, like these are the initiator. They want to connect the targets from these iSCSI servers, iSCSI storage. Now what it do? It manages the path conjunction, like where it can go and where you can find the right iSCSI. Now these two servers are there, and this one is congested path. The path is very busy, and this one is not that busy. It is uncongested path. So what it do here? This feature do what? It allows the client or this initiator to use the iSCSI target which is not congested or which is faster than the other one. These slow means it is stop sending the request and reply, but the fast one will still be available. Now this is the job of the DCB configuration, that it is provide the right or fast iSCSI target to the initiator. Now we have this MAPIO, MPIO, that is called in full it is called multipath IO, multipath input output. Now this is for redundancy. This is for the redundancy of the iSCSI targets, or we can say it is for also fiber channel. Now if suppose we have the server here, iSCSI storage here, and we have servers there, and the server is having two paths to connect to the storage, two different paths, like two different adapters it has, and it can connect from both the adapters, it can connect the storage devices, that is SAN or iSCSI, or you can say fiber channel or iSCSI. So this Mapio can do what? It can allow the initiator client to use both the path to connect to the storage. Now what is the benefit here? If suppose one path goes down, then still the storage and the data will be available for the client from the other path. Now here I am not saying the client because it is server, because we cannot configure this MPIO in Windows client machine in Windows 10. We can use this MPIO configuration in only server operating system. Now server operating system, that means the Windows servers which is having the storage, which is running the application, and that application data is stored under the iSCSI or SAN storage, that is centralized storage, and they want to access the data every time because of the application is running, and they don't it cannot afford the downtime of the data, that data is not available, it is not possible, or it cannot manage that, it cannot say that the data is not available. So for the application, data must be available every time, but because of the physical thing, we can't trust on those physical things. Suppose if the first network if there is only one network, and if the network goes down, then the data is not available for the server. So in that case, this server operating system, we have the option to configure MPIO, and MPIO can do what? It can use multiple paths to connect the storage. Multiple path, more than one, it can be 2, 3, 4, whatever. For the redundancy, it will use multiple paths to connect to the MPIO, and if one path goes down, then it can use the other path to connect the connect the storage device. And also it will give the load balancing option also. Load balancing option also, that means it can use both the path to get to the storage, and it can get the storage faster than the single path, because it is getting data from both the storage, both the paths, both the network paths. So this MPIO is for the redundant network adapters. It converts the network adapter or HBA's hot burst adapters in server, and MPIO enables on server, it only on server. It may have it should have dual switches have redundant connection to storage devices, or redundant storage devices we have. So in this case, we use this MPIO. Now for configuring this MPIO, remember we can't configure it for the clients, it is for server. This is our server, or we can say this is our storage iSCSI server. So in this server, if suppose we have only single path or single line, and this is the client this is the initiator client, and it wants to connect to the server, and we have only one path to connect. There is a switch here, and these two are connected together. Now if there is only one path to connect to the storage, and if this path goes down, then what happens? This server will lose the connection to the storage and lose the application access. The application will stop working on that server, because the server storage is not available, the application storage is not available. And that case, what we use is MPIO. Now for MPIO, we should have multiple paths available. For example, there is another path available, from there the server can be connected. So if suppose we have two paths available to connect to the server storage, so what this server can do, now we don't have to configure anything on this storage server. We just need two connections there, like two different connections, like we have two network adapter connected, to the storage server, and we need two adapters also available in the server client, that is this initiator server. So in this we need two adapter also. Then we don't have to configure anything here. We have to configure the Mapio. We configure on this initiator server, which is the client of this storage iSCSI target, and which wants to access the server storage, this storage server through these two different paths. So in this server we will configure that Mapio, that is multipath input and output. Now when we configure this, then what it will do, it will use both the path to connect to the storage, and it can do what, we can select the type of connection. We can select load balancing, we can select round robin, we can select failover. Now in that case, if suppose failover, that means it will use only one path, and if suppose the network first path goes down, then it will go for the other path. And if we select the load balancing, then it will use both the paths for accessing the storage. And still, if one path goes down, it can still get the data from the other path. So in this case, it will provide a redundancy. Even if the connection goes down from the one path, the storage can be available from the other side, from the other path. Now how we can configure this? For configuring this in our client, we must have two separate interface, and also it must be two separate connections. It is not like both the network adapters are connected to the same switch. Now in this case, what happens if this switch goes down? No matter how many connections we have, if this switch goes down, then it will be down. Both the networks will be down. So basically, for this to work properly, we should have completely separate networks, which is not depending on each other. So if even this switch goes down, or whatever happened to this first network connection, the other connection must be available. Now in our case, what we will do, we will configure these two adapters on both the servers, the target server and also the initiator server, and then we can configure the Mapio. Let's see that now. Now this is our target server. It has three virtual disks, which is which is shared, and on the client side it is connected. And this is our iSCSI client. This is server 2, which is connected to the iSCSI target, and it is using all those three disks. It is connected here, and we can see in the disk management these three disks are connected. So these disks are connected, but it is using only single path. If you see here, there is only one adapter. Now to configure the Mapio here in this server 2, we have to have two paths available. So first we need two paths, so I will add one more network adapter into this. Now I added the new adapter here in this server 2 client. This is the member server, and it is having now two adapters available. One, it was 16.002, and second adapter I have added now, it is having 100.002. Now it must be available, these two adapters also available into the storage server, that is the iSCSI target server. Now on this target server, server 1, there is only one adapter connected. So here in this storage server also we need two adapters, so that it can use these two paths to connect to this storage server. So I will add one more adapter here also. Now I have added this new adapter here also, and it is also having the network IP, which is the same network IP of the server 2. So server 2 has these two machines have two adapters. This one, this 16.0.1 is connected to 16.0.0.2, and 100.0.0.1 is connected to 100.0.0.2. Now we have the storage share from here. and it is already connected, but they are using the single path. So I'll go to the client server 2, and then I will do what, I will configure the Mapio there. Okay, now first for configuring the Mapio MPIO, that is multipath input output, we have to install this feature. It is available as a feature in this server 2016. So first we have to install the feature in this server, and then we can use it. So first I will go to manage, add roles and features, and then I will go next, and this is not role, it is available as a feature, so I will go next, and under the feature tab we will select that multipath IO, and it is available here. Multipath IO, and what it do here, multipath IO is along with the Microsoft device specific module or a third party DSM, provides support for using multiple data path to a storage device on Windows. So it is going to provide this, so I select it. Next I will select the restart if it is needed. It does not need restart, but I select that, and now it is going to install. It is restarting, and then after restart it will be available. Okay, it is restarted. And it is now finishing the installation. And now it is done. So now I will close this, and after this installing of this feature, I will go to tools, and now here we have available this multipath IO. Now I will select this, and here now when we restart this, so we can see here that for the device hardware ID it is showing only this. Now it is not showing the support for iSCSI by default, so we have to add the support for iSCSI here. Now for that, what we have to do here, we have to go for this discovery multipath option, and for the device ID we have to add the support for iSCSI devices here. So for that we have to select this to add the support for iSCSI devices. It also support these SAS devices, so if you want, then you can add that, but right now we need the support for iSCSI, so I will select this iSCSI support for iSCSI, and I will say add. And now when we add that, it will say reboot now. It needs the reboot. So I will say yes, okay, reboot this. So after reboot, it is going to give you the support for iSCSI also. Okay, now it is starting. So after this reboots, we can verify that it is now supporting iSCSI, and we can see this here. Now this means it is now supporting the iSCSI also, and we can see it is now supporting. Now what we'll do now, we will configure the iSCSI target initiator to use these two paths. So for that we'll go to this iSCSI initiator from here. Right now it is using the first one. It is using the first one, the one which was there by default. This is 16.002. Now I am going to configure this to use the second path. Now we can configure this for this target or this target, or for both the targets. So no matter how many targets we have, we can configure separately for them. So we can configure for this target, and also we can configure for this target. So one by one I can configure it for both, or I will configure it for this first security target. I will select this, and then I will go for connect, and here I will select enable multipath. Enable multipath, and in advance I will configure here the adapter which you want to use for the configuration for connecting. So I will use this. Microsoft Initiator, and the IP address, this is the one which is using by default, so I'm going to use the second one, the 100.002 for the initiator, and for the target 100.001. And then I will press OK here. Okay, OK is not showing, so I will remove this, and then I can see OK button. And then I will press OK from here. Okay, it is also secure, so I have to provide the authentication also. This is the secure one. So I have to provide the security also. And then same as I will configure the other target also. Initiator, by default it is using this one, so I'll go for this second interface for the initiator, and second interface for the target. There is no authentication here. And then I will go for this here, volumes and devices, and we configure auto here. We click on auto configuration. Now when we click on auto configuration, it will show that these devices are now connected. As we can see, these drives are connected, and these drives are going to use for these multipaths. These drives are this. We can see these are the drives EFG, which is the shared storage. And we can verify from here. Go to device, and we have the option for multipath IO here, and here we can see that these two paths are it is using, and here we can decide that what load balancing policy we want. Like we can go for round robin, we can go for failover only, we can go for round robin with subnet, and we have the other options also: least blocks, wait path, least queue path, queue depth, by default is round robin. Round robin will go for round robin, that means first data will go from the first connection, then second data will go from the second connection. We can check the details here, that which IP it is using for this connection, and for this which IP it is using for this connection. So we can see that the initiator is this IP using this 100.2 and 100.1 for this, and for this it is using 16.001. So this is what we configure the multipath IO for supporting these two targets. Then if suppose the one network goes down, one network adapter goes down, still it will be available from the other network. These connections will be available from the other network. What I will do, I will go to the storage server and will disable one network adapter. Now this is the storage server here. I will go to disable one network interface. Now we see that the main interface is not there, the second one is there. And let us check that is it available or not. We'll go to the client. Now here it is still saying that it is connected. It is connected from the other interface. So it is still connecting because the other interface is working from the storage. And we go to this, we can still see the devices are available, and we can use these devices. We can use to store the data, we can use to retrieve the data, whatever we have. So we are using the multipath to connect to the storage server, and it is doing the round robin, it is doing the load balancing. It is doing the load balancing, that means it will use two paths to send the data and receive the data, and also if one path goes down, still it will be available, the data will be available from the other path. And this is called multipath IO.